Hi everyone, it's Sarah, no support workers, and today we're going to talk about something that's really interesting and intriguing, and there's a lot in the sector happening, and I'm so glad to have you, Sharon.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Sarah, for having me.
Now we're going to get down to the nitty gritties because I am nosy as hell. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So
Ask away.
Keely's cause, Keely's cause, did that start from school?
So, yes, Keeley struggled in primary school. It started around probably grade 3, grade 4. So, Keeley was struggling. I noticed that things weren't above board. Like, Keeley at that time was diagnosed with Asperger's, and so had her brother before. But the difference between the two of them was really prominent for Keeley, and I knew she was struggling. So I approached the school and asked them, could we get a cognitive report? They told me that Keeley wouldn't meet the criteria for funding, just to tap into one of the aides in the room. So we did that. Then grade 4 come and she was still struggling. She didn't know timetables and everything, and they were putting her up to grade 5. So I had a really big issue with that, because why are you putting my child up to grade 5 if she can't do her times tables, because she's only got another 2 years before she gets to high school, and if she doesn't know them, she's really, really going to struggle. So while they weren't happy about keeping her down, we kept her down. I encouraged them to, do times tables and everything with her, but no. So grade 6, they signed Keeley off grade 6, year 7 ready. But prior to that, the doctors had said that Keeley needed technology to support her. The school decided that they would overrule that, because what would the other parents say if Keeley had an iPad and their kids didn't? And I said, that's like saying to the blind boy that he can't bring in his guide dog because others will want a puppy. Like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, yeah? If you've got a child, no matter who they are, if they need extra supports that help them along the way, then that's what they should get, right? Even if it was only because they had iPads there. So even if it was only a couple of hours or whatever. So then grade 6 come, they signed her off grade 6, year 7 ready. And then we decided to homeschool Keeley, because Keeley was being bullied at school by teachers and by students. And there was only one bus out to Ballarat, and a number of those bullies were on that bus. So you're talking 30, 40 minutes away. If something went wrong, then that's a long way to go and get to her before she's in a state. And we'd been through this with my son in year 7. He was getting engraving pens in his back and being bullied that way. And he was only 15 minutes away. So this was a big concern. So we went into Footscray to the psychology school there that did the reports. We saw them for 5 visits, and then we got Keeley's cause report back. So it came back saying that Keeley had an IQ of 62, functioning at a grade 3-4 level, requiring a full-time aid, and also a mild intellectual disability.
Yep.
So while that was good in one way, it wasn't in another. So Keeley kind of went through a depression state where she thought she was dumb, because we explained that there was a mild intellectual disability that impacted on her learning. So we went through a couple of weeks, I think, of depression. And then 2 weeks later, she was sitting in the back room under the window, and she just turned to me. She was 13, and she said, you know what, Mum? We have a right to an education as much as anyone else. We have dreams too. And I said, you know what, Keeley? You're absolutely right. And she said, good. I want to start a charity. I want to call it Keeley's Cause. I want to design the logo. I want to find 2 kids that have what I have. I want to raise money through sausage sizzles, and I want to buy them each an iPad. Keeley still never had her own. Then she said, and I want to go global. So I said, well, let me get it off the ground first and register it and see how we go. So we were with the Lions at that time. Well, I still am, but Keeley was a cub. And we went to see them about, how do we do a sausage sizzle to raise money? And they asked us what for. So they decided that they would take Keeley's cause on as a project, which it still is today. So 2 sausage sizzles turned into 59. Creswick Lions found out that Keeley still didn't have her own iPad, and they sponsored hers. We are now 691 iPads. So there's no government funding. We receive none. It's perceived that everyone owns an iPad in the world, so there's no need to fund them. But for kids with autism and intellectual disabilities, and also the specialist schools who aren't funded, unless you've got an iPad, then your child's got nothing. So Keeley decided she was going to bridge the gap. There's not another organisation doing this on a full-time basis. And so she decided she was going to make it her mission to change that. And that's how Keeley's cause became along.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
quite a big story, and I hope you don't mind if I unpacked it a little bit more.
Go, unpack it. Unpack it.
When she first came to you and said, "I want to do this," did it surprise you that she was quite an advocate in our sector?
Yes, because Keeley was a select mutive, yeah? So Keeley, as you saw before, doesn't really get involved in talk. She feels judged a lot because she was bullied for it. So Keeley used to always just pull off me, make me speak on her behalf, yada, yada, yada. So when she came up with this idea, I was kind of taken back, but then I wasn't because of the way the kids are being brought up. I knew that there was some fire in her that she would always find her place in this world somehow. And we just didn't know where or how. And they all do. In one way or another, they all find their way. And she found her niche.
Did you expect it to blow up?
Did I expect it to blow up? Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
as it has.
She said to me, "Will it work?" And I said, "I don't know, Keeley, but I'm going to back you 100%. Going to give it a go. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. We can at least say we gave it a go." And here we are, national charity. She's won, I think, 16, 17 awards, 3 of them international. I think it was 2 years ago, she was put on the Victorian Women's Honour Roll as the youngest ever to go on it since 2001. And there's only 735 people on it. So, and then she won the Diana Award in the UK. And I think it's because she's doing something that nobody else is doing, but it comes from lived experience. It's, as she said, she doesn't want anyone to have to go through what she went through. It was hell. So if she can bridge the gap and prevent half of that, then she's made a difference.
Yep, 100%. Was there any moments where you guys were like, "God, this is really hard. Maybe I just throw in the towel"?
Yeah, I think it comes when you're trying to look for funding and partners and sponsors and stuff like that. It's a lot of work because we can't get the funding in any way. We have to rely heavily on the community, corporates, businesses. So yeah, that was really hard. I think the break for me was when we were able to get a sponsorship with Brighton Auto, and that came with a car. And then that made me realize that they're seeing something that we see. And if they can see it, then so can everyone else. And as we've grown and evolved, the people that understand the autistic community are the ones that come on to support, but also not just the community, it's people that know someone. There's always someone in business that knows someone. Oh, my friend's got autism, or my cousin's got autism, or so there's always someone that knows somebody. So the more we share our story, the more people see it, the more people support it.
What was the feeling like when you got to give the first iPad to somebody?
That was amazing. Her name was Amy. We still see Amy every now and again. Amy, I think she was about, what is she? She's 17 now. And we've been going, 9 years? So she would have been 8.
Yep.
And Amy was very much like Keeley, struggled. She was like a mini Keeley, struggled with, talking and everything. She's now 17. I think she's past her year 12 already. She's doing amazing work and gone on to do some things that other kids might not normally get. But for a child with autism and a disability, that's a huge gig, because that iPad is what helped her to get there, because the iPad holds the teachers accountable, right? Every school has individual learning plans for kids with disabilities, but depending on the school and depending on the teachers, it's whether they get it or not. And there's a lot of teachers doing amazing things out there. And if it wasn't for Keeley's grade 2 teacher, who brought to our attention that Keeley struggled with paper-based work, she gets them all wrong, every answer. But if you put that same test on a computer and ask her one by one, she gets them all right. So she first brought that to our attention. So then when we saw Amy struggling, we knew that the iPad would help her, because it's not only about communicating and education, it's also about regulating their meltdowns and stuff like that. So to a child with autism or a person with living with autism, that iPad technology is their whole world in a way that
Yeah.
they understand beyond us, because our world is unpredictable and their world is literal.
Mm.
Their anxieties come from our unpredictable world because it's ever
Yeah.
changing.
I always say, I'm like, I'm so glad I live in now compared to, a couple of 100 years ago, because I really would not have thrived as I do now, because technology has come such a long way, and it gives us
Absolutely.
all this opportunity to do
Yeah.
things that we never would have thought was possible. And, for anybody that is neurodivergent, you do get stuck in a box
Yeah,
without,
absolutely. You get put in that box, right? Whereas the iPad, because it gives you a tailored education to your individual needs, then you get to thrive the way you need to thrive. If you're just going to school, you're learning current talk curriculums, right? Which is great. But for people with autism and for Keeley, they can't do them because the steps now. So when we went to school, adding up was 345 and 372, and that was your figure. Now it's a 7-step process, right? So, and the words and the processing of the information, like Kelly can read a whole book from back to front, but she can't tell you what it's about. So when she got her tailored individual learning plan, that's when everything started to change. That's when her confidence grew. The charity has helped her. She thinks she's helping lots of people, which she is, but she doesn't realize that this charity is actually helping her. So it's built her confidence. It's helped her to speak better. She's doing things that she would never do, like we're working and part time, and now we're doing our course in education support work. Yes, she's struggling, but we're just helping her and guiding her through the best way we can. And because at the end of it, despite all the work that you've got to do, that end product of her being an education support worker is what she wants to do, because she wants to give back to those that's helped her. Because as she said, without their support, she wouldn't know half of what she knows. Because when she went to the specialist school, she was taught how to be an adult in a real world, how to bank, how to go traveling, all those things that count that don't often happen. Her growth, once she hit that specialist school, was huge. She
yes.
had no friends in mainstream school. She had so many in the specialist school that were just like her that she still has today. So, yeah, so a lot of people say, I don't want my child going to specialist school, it demeans them because of the other children that are around. But that's not the case, because if you look at a child with a disability, they automatically flock to other kids with a disability. So my son, when
People
he
that
was
relatable.
younger, yep, my son in kinder, he was 4. His best friend was a little girl that had epilepsy. Now she was having 9 to 10 seizures a day. And one day I went to pick him up from kinder and she'd had a seizure and he wasn't leaving. And I said to him, we've got to go home. He goes, I'm not going until Cherie wakes up. So we waited, and then she woke up. And then his next friend was someone in a wheelchair, and because they get each other, because they understand each other's struggles, whereas it's harder sometimes to make friends. And Lee also had auto processing disorder. So that kind of delayed the conversation. So he was, 2 conversations behind, and then they'd go, oh, what are you talking about? So that started a lot of bullying as well. And the same for Keeley, because Keeley was different and because the focus in school was about what she wasn't doing, that allowed her to then be bullied in the playground because, oh my God, the teacher said you're naughty and we can't
Yeah.
play with naughty people. And it just starts. And there's so many things that need to be changed in the school setting. I think teaching empathy and inclusion and discussing different types of disability needs to be taught every week because the whole world is filled with it.
Yep.
It's not going to
It sounds like
change.
you guys are quite empathetic towards people that come from all walks of life, but
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody's got a right to be here, and everybody has different ways of learning, whether you've got a disability or whether you don't. And I think we have to adapt to that. If we're adapting to everything else, we need to adapt to those sorts of things because, as Keely said, everybody has a dream of being someone someday too.
yep,
So if you give everybody the opportunity, then there's no reason for everyone to say, I didn't get that because you were given it. It's what you do with it. It's what you do with that opportunity.
so at the moment in the NDIS, it's a little bit spicy, and it's
Yes.
a little bit hard and difficult and everything in between. And getting an iPad can be very difficult under people's plans to have so people can communicate. What are some of the changes families have told you since receiving an iPad for their kids?
The biggest change is for a non-verbal family. They get to hear their child's voice where they've never heard it before in communication. Because I've seen so many people walk up to people that are non-verbal and stand in front of them and go, "Hello, can you understand me?" Yeah, they can understand you. They can
Yeah.
hear every word you say, right? And a lot
Wait,
of
they're sizing
parents,
you up before you got there, and
yep,
they're
yep,
probably
yep.
already
And a lot of
automatically got
parents,
it ticking, thinking this person is not somebody I want to hang
yeah,
out with.
absolutely, absolutely. And there are a lot of parents that think because their child's nonverbal and that they can't hear them speak, that they don't have the options that many have. But if you give that child that is nonverbal technology, the words that come out of their mouth, the things they write, blows you into next heaven. So we took an iPad. We had to present 3 iPads at the Children's Hospital one day. 2 were coming from 2 hours away and 1 was in the hospital. So Keeley presented the iPads and one of the boys was nonverbal. And Keeley would have been about 15 and the mother had a bunch of flowers for Keeley. Keeley couldn't understand why the mother was giving her the flowers when she was the one gifting. So I had to explain to her that this wasn't just about her giving an iPad. He was nonverbal. You were changing the family dynamic as well. This family was now going to be able to communicate with their child beyond anything they had before. She hung on to those flowers for about 8, 9 months till they were wilted and rotted because she's never done it for what she can get out of it. She's always done it selflessly so nobody has to go through, and that has been the main thing. Nobody has to go through what she went through. It
Yep.
was a hard time. You know, kids used to come around here and knock on the door to play with her. And I'd hear her crying out the front and they'd be stepping on her, right? And I went out and I said, if you don't like her, that's fine. But don't do this to us. Stay away from her. And she was hysterical. You know, there was the year that we did the grade 4, you know, I want a birthday party. I want to invite everyone. I went, oh my God. We never got
Yeah.
one reply. I had booked a jumping castle, face painter. Keely wanted a dress up day. My girlfriend knocked on the door. So she came in with her son and daughter. And then that was it. So Keely said, Mum, what's wrong with me? And I said, there's nothing wrong with you, sweetheart. It's wrong
Yep.
with everyone else.
Yep.
So it's that stigma that, oh my God, that person's got a disability, you know, we don't want to associate with them, and that mother, and every time they bring the child plays up, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's really great, but let's role reverse it and let's take the shoe off the foot and place it on your own. What if this was you and you had a child with a disability and you were navigating the world that they're navigating? You know, sometimes people just need support and guidance and
Yep.
just someone to say, I might not understand your journey, but I'm here to learn. And
Yep.
sometimes the more that you learn about their journey creates a bigger bond and situation that these kids can still be part of a normal life. I've been lucky that my friends, when they don't understand, they'll always say, hey, Sharon, I'm not sure on this. Can you fill me in? What's the go here? And that may be a meltdown or whatever. And then I'll explain why they do it. And they go, okay, yeah, we get that. So Lee, when he first met his friends in year 7, he told them that he had Asperger's and whatever, and they didn't understand that. So because he was in a school that supported neurodivergent kids, they went to one of the teachers and said, look, Lee's got this, but we don't know what it is. So the teacher explained, they go, yeah, okay. And then that was the end of it. And then the friendship just kept going, but at least they went and asked. And I think that's more important. Like, don't judge, because sometimes the mum just needs support too. They live a very lonely life. If there's no friends, it's lonely. It's a lonely life for some of the
And it's
families.
hard to see your kids struggle, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right. And then you've got them that have lost their families because their children have a disability and their own parents don't understand. And that's even sadder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always say, put yourself in that position because this could have been you too. It's not, but it could have been. And see,
So
this is another thing, you know, when there's an autistic child or whatever, when we meet someone, we want the whole romance and, you know, happy ever
yeah.
after and Cinderella, but nobody's sitting down and saying, hey, what do we do if we have a child with a disability. There's not a discussion about that. And there should be. And it may never happen, but you've got people that, oh, I'm going to have 2 kids and one's going to be a ballerina and one's going to be a doctor. And oh my God. And then they find out they're having a child with a disability and it's, oh my God, I never planned on this. I never asked for this kid. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you can't kind of stipulate, and this is what it is, and you have to learn to manage it. People always say to me, I don't know how you do it, Sharon. Well, I had to do it because, well, I can't just sit in the corner all day feeling sorry for myself because it's not going to change it. So I had to work out, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to work
Yep.
best with my kids to understand them and support them. Because when Lee was diagnosed, he wasn't diagnosed till he was 10 because he's 34 now. And there were
Yep.
no supports back then. So you just had to wing it.
Yep.
So you learnt to do things differently and then it just becomes your norm.
So I've got a question for you. You had to move into being a CEO now. So
Yes.
what have you learned now from moving into a small startup, which really what it is, into an absolute foundation and a juggernaut for giving kids iPads?
Yeah, that was mind blowing. Yeah. Because we started off as an incorporation
Mhm.
and then we took the next step to register nationally and follow all those steps to do that. And when you register nationally, you kind of go, yeah, okay. But then when we first put out the iPad applications, they were mainly just Victoria.
Yep.
So, and then each year as we went, there were a couple of, here and there. Now we're hitting every state every time. We usually have our iPad applications open for about 2 to 4 weeks. The last round we had to shut after 4 hours because we had over 250 applications.
Ooh. And these all from everywhere, but anyone that could donate an iPad, I think I've spoken to you about this in the past, that big businesses that buy iPads in bulk and update every year, they
Yep.
can donate iPads straight
Yep,
to you
so they
guys?
can donate straight to us and then we send them off to specialist schools because there are some specialist schools that have iPads, but unless the school can afford them, then they don't have them. So that means the kids aren't getting inclusive educations. So there's 11 schools that we know of just in Queensland that have not one iPad for their child. And because Keeley went to her specialist school in Melton, they had iPads. So I just assumed that the government supported it. You know what I mean? It's funded, it's a school, but we found out probably 2 years ago that no, it's not. And that's why we were donated 130 iPads from Fire Rescue Queensland. And they're the ones that have gone out to the specialist schools. So we gave 40 secondhand ones to Ballarat plus 5 new ones. A Melton Specialist School got 20. And then we went over to Monash Specialist School and they got 20. So those kind of iPads go there. We have given a couple to family members who are desperate, who can't wait for that next round. So what we normally do is we take the children of whoever we select due to how many iPads, and then sometimes we make them reapply because we don't have any. And last year, we decided not to do that. We decided that because of the volume, we would put them on a wait list. So there's currently 75 plus children on the wait list now, Australia-wide, waiting for iPads. And part of the gala is why we're doing the gala. Last year, we raised 41,800 profit. That brought 51 iPads, and then we had a lot of sponsors that had sponsored a few as well. So, and I think the beauty of Keeley's cause is that we set it up to be a win-win. So nobody loses. So if you sponsor an iPad, you get to meet your recipient and their family. So that's a very special thing. But getting back, because I've gone off jargon as usual, as Sharon does, going from incorporation to national to a director to CEO, yeah, I'm absolutely honoured. For me, that kind of journey, I would never have anticipated that I would even reach those sort of milestones for myself. But that makes me realize that I'm also capable. So the things I often doubted myself that, I couldn't achieve, I'm doing all them and some. I mean, some of the things I'm doing now, I go, wow, who are you? Who's in your body, Sharon? Because the things that are about to come out are absolutely insane. And yeah, I don't know where they got that from. But the journey of, always being the cheerleader for the kids.
Mm.
I think empowers you back because you're pushing them to be their better selves, that you actually become your own.
But iPads are expensive too. So to be able to give a family that is in need an iPad is so rewarding because not every family can buy one and not
No, that's
everyone
right.
has technology in their NDIS plan to buy one. So to be able to hand over something that does change somebody's life dramatically, it must be quite overwhelming with emotions.
Absolutely, especially when you see those people that are receiving them. The kids are so grateful, they're so excited, but the families are in tears, they're indebted to you, right? Because if you hadn't have done it, nobody else would have. Like, we'll message them and or ring them and say you've been accepted, but there may be a wait list. You can kind of fish out the ones that are real and the ones that kind of think this is let's just get an iPad for free because they're offering them.
Yeah.
They're in tears. You've
Yes.
changed their life. They're crying because you see them where others don't. And then you say you may be on a wait list. Well, we don't care how long we wait because we're getting something we would never have had before.
Yes.
We know it's going to change their lives completely. Yes, we could have done secondhand. We could have done something cheaper. We could have done the whole lot. But the iPad is the tool. The kids that need the prologue to go can go
It's only
straight on
Apple.
there.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's only Apple that offers it. So
Yep.
you are limited to one brand if you need to
That's
have a
right.
community
That's
made.
right. That's right. So we decided that Apple is what it would be. So I think it's a more easier platform to understand for people with autism because it's easier to navigate as opposed to going on to something else. And that I struggle with technology. These kids thrive on it. I struggle with it. It does my head in. I don't know if it's the age, and I used to pick on my mum and say she was prehistoric, but yeah, kids are calling me that now.
So you've gone through all this stage, you've got to CEO. What made you guys think, hey, wouldn't mind putting on a gala? What
Well,
was the brainchild behind that?
so everyone had said, you're gonna have a gala, and you'd have a gala. No, 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 we're not ready yet. And then last year we kind of went, should we have a gala? We're at a position now that Keeley's cause needs to be celebrated. So it was more about having a gala, but celebrating what we've done, what we've achieved, and everything like that, and putting Keeley at the forefront. So last year's one, Keeley entered the room. She made her grand entrance down the stairway. It was a place to gather and see, what kind of money we would raise. There was 150 people in the room. We capped it at 150. And by God, what a night.
So
What a night.
what can people expect if they're wanting to attend?
So we make it like a celebration, right? So a lot of people go, "Oh, I don't want to come to a gala. They are so boring." And we didn't want to make it boring. So we do our formalities. They have a few laughs along the way, and then come 9:30, it's party and celebrate. So everything's out of the way. In between that, the band gets up, they plays the music, and then once that 9:30 mark comes, it's party hardy. So last year, when you go to a concert and you do an encore for them to come out when they leave, they were doing that at the gala for the band. So we actually got the band back because everybody loved them, and so they're from Brisbane. So two of those guys have been on X Factor and Australian Idol. So 33 Red, they interact with the crowd. The music was great for everyone. Everyone got involved. The money raising, the laughs, the chats, the dancing, I think was the highlight. And the
What's
most important feedback I got from the women was, "My God, I feel like a princess in here."
because it's a
Because the
Hyatt.
Park Hyatt is
Yeah.
fully marbled. It is stunning. So there is a few people that are like, "I don't want to dress up, Sharon." And then they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad I did. I feel like a princess. I feel so elegant." So we were only going to have the one gala. And then there was a call out, "Well, are you going to have another?" So we went, "Yeah, okay, we'll do one more. We'll do an encore performance." So this is our encore because the band's coming back.
Yep.
Obviously, we have you, Sarah, doing our roving MC, which will be really exciting. I can't wait for that. She
I
says, "Oh
have
my
to
God."
live up to the hype.
No, no, no. You're all
No
good. We've
pressure.
got you. No pressure. No pressure. We just want you to be you, right? We love you as you at your best.
What is something so if anyone was thinking about buying any tickets or sponsoring or donating, what would you say to them and how would they get in contact with you?
Okay, so obviously Facebook and Instagram have the link on. Anything on the Keeley's Cause website comes directly to me. The link is in the event page, or you can email me. You can buy a single ticket for $250 for those that want to come and they're struggling with, maybe the cost of it. We can make a payment arrangement. We're happy to do that. We did it last year and it was successful. There's a table of 10 that is then discounted to 2,200, or there's a featured table for 3,000 that has your logo and everything, and you get mentioned on the night, and that's a table of 10 and yada, yada, yada. So every bit of money made from that gala goes to buy iPads. Like I said, we bought 51 last year from the 41,000. And we will have those kids that receive those iPads up on the screens so that everybody knows where their money went and who they supported. And I think that's the most important thing. We show where your money goes. Yeah. And that's why having the sponsorships and meeting your recipients is really important, because if the business or organization wants to extend that relationship with the family, they're able to do that. But the family is indebted to the sponsor and they will shout them from the rooftops. So that's why I say it's a win-win, because nobody loses. Your money isn't just going into a pool that just sits there and we do things we probably shouldn't be doing. It goes directly to iPads, because without that support, there's so many lives that need to be changed.
So the cool thing is that you don't have to be in the disability and care sector to come to the gala or
Nope,
donate.
nope.
I know that you have had sponsors that have come from building and the
Yes,
construction and all
construction.
different
We had
walks of
office
life.
works. We have stage people, West Traffic. They're sponsors. They come from all walks of life because they like what we do. They like that they can see a child evolve, that they've given them something that contributes to their well-being. I think that's a good point. We're not just a charity that's just, doing this or doing that. We're actually doing something that creates change, that changes lives, gives opportunity. Like, we're setting them up to be effective members in their community, to go on and get employment, to fulfill those dreams that they want to be, where they don't have to doubt themselves every day that they're never going to be somebody. And there's nothing worse than being segregated and feeling that you can't be anyone because society still keeps you down. So at least the iPad and through inclusive education gives them hope. It gives them a drive that they can, do better. So we gave one iPad to a girl over the other side of town. She's now doing animated. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because that was her dream and she could never attain it. But since having the iPad, she's gone leaps and bounds.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then, we gave one to a little boy in Perth. He was 9 at the time. He has cerebral palsy. He has autism. He's nonverbal. His mum wrote me an email to say he was having 9 meltdowns a day. School wasn't understanding him. He was acting out, yada, yada, yada. We gave him an iPad and she emailed me 9 days later to tell me that she had a changed child. He was no longer having meltdowns. He was regulating. He had his individual learning plan. He was communicating. So we had an interview with the project one year just after Keeley won the Diana Award, and he was one of the recipients that we chose to be on the project. And when we saw that video, because we never saw the interview till it came on TV, and when I was watching him on TV and he was just sitting there with his iPad, and this was not the child that I had met. So it was proof in the pudding. And as she said, it's changed his life for the better because it gave him purpose. The iPad helped him regulate his meltdowns and he was able to learn. So the frustrations often from disabilities is their inability to understand or learn or be accepted. And this is why they have their meltdowns.
Yep.
It's not just because they're a naughty child. It's because they don't have the tools that they need to thrive. They're not like everybody else. They don't think the same. And the more that we adapt to the different ways people learn, the better off everyone will be. So, if an iPad is all that they need, to fulfill their life and feel safe in our world, then why wouldn't we give them one?
Yeah, 100%. So what's the goal for the future for you guys? Is
Well,
it to
there's lots coming
expand
on,
the amount of
Sarah.
iPads you get and
Yes.
deliver them to people, or
Yep. So we're
is there
hoping
another
that
side project?
well, there's a side project. So we are looking at, we want to be able to source funding that's ongoing, right? Donations are great and we appreciate them. But because we've got so many kids now that need them and are sitting on the wait list in a small amount of time, we want to be able to get ongoing funding with corporates or whatever to be able to be pushing out at least 100 a year. If we can do 100 a year, it's 100 lives changed.
Is this 100 like from donated from like
Yep, sponsored, whatever. And the donations will still go in the pool, but at least we know that at least 100 children will be guaranteed assistance each year. Anything above that would
yeah.
be a high priority bonus.
So where are you at the moment for numbers? Because we're in May.
We're
We
in
got
May.
7.5 months left till the
Yes,
end
and
of the
we've
year.
got 75 kids on the wait list already. And if we
Okay.
open the rounds again in
Yeah.
August, we may have to stop doing that this year for the very first time because we need to fulfill those 75 on the wait list. Otherwise, we open it. If it does what it did last year, we're going to have another 250 kids on the wait list, right? So then you've got 320 kids on a wait list, and we don't want them sitting there very long.
No, that's fair. 'Cause we'd rather them communicate and be
Not
inclusive
only
of their
that,
community.
a lot of the kids are still on telehealth appointments because not much changed after COVID. A lot of people are still working from home, but these families can't do telehealth because they don't have the equipment. So not only is NDIS not giving them the support, there's still that stigma around the telehealth, but not everybody has the capacity to have the technology. You're looking at families that most of the parents have given up work on a full-time basis to look after their
They've got
kids,
no
right?
choice. They literally don't have a
Correct.
choice.
Correct,
Yeah.
which we didn't hear. They're on carer payment. By the time they pay their rents, paying their bills, go around and drive their kids to all the, places that they need to go to get their children support or help, they're lucky if they're left with $10 a week, right?
Yeah.
$10 doesn't sound much, but when you're putting that away each week to pay off something, which they probably won't take $10 for, they can't afford it. They're lucky if the $10 is going to buy them bread and milk for the week. So
Yeah.
that's why we put our focus on low socioeconomic families, right? Because then that way we can fizzle out who can afford an iPad and who can't, right? So with us, you've got to have a pension card in the parent's name with the child listed. We don't take the green card that is the child disability card because that means that their parents or one of their parents is working full time.
Yeah.
So on the carer allowance, families can still earn up to 220, 250,000 and still receive that payment. That's why we chose doing the pension and the income and the family assessment assistance, because then we know they're the families that are struggling the most and they're the ones we need to support.
100%. Because yeah, does it make you feel like you're reliving or re-seeing sometimes your family when you're giving these iPads away?
Yeah, Keeley growing up made me look at my own life through her eyes.
Yeah.
Keeley's bringing up and her journey was a lot like mine. I never put the two together, but now I'm starting to. But when you see that in other families, because we struggled, we were a family and we still do. Like, we're not rich and famous or anything like that. We've got a roof over our head. We're lucky to have a home that, you know, the what do you call it? The bills are paid, the food is we've got it. But there's a lot of families out there that don't.
And
And with
I
the
look,
rents and everything that's going up skyrocket, like,
yeah, I don't
you
know how they
know,
do it. Like, I'll be honest with you, because I'm looking at all what they're funding and how people are getting cut and all that stuff.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
remembered a time, probably, oh God, some time ago when I was much more younger and I didn't have so many laughter lines. I used to
yeah, I
do
got lots of them too.
I used to do like work for a youth group, and it was on a Friday night, and it was kids that were adults with disabilities in like 18. they used to turn up and we'd run programs for 3 or 4 hours. Those parents were like, "Oh my god, I'm going to have dinner with my husband. I haven't had one dinner with my husband. I can't remember the last time I had dinner with my husband." Now we went to dinner and we didn't know what to talk about, but I got to have dinner with my husband. So, like, there is these little things, and especially with what's going on and how it's cut, it just feels like it's gonna be more isolating for families. And
Yeah,
having an
yeah.
iPad open and expands people's communication, excellent, but cutting into this type of stuff is unfair.
That's right, and I've always been in the community sector line. So before Keeley started Keeley's Cause, I worked with women of domestic violence. So when my kids were younger, so Lee was 4 and 2 and I left my husband, back in those days, we were struggling at one point and I had to go to the food bank. And back then, you only went to the food bank if you lived on the street, yeah? So I'm going up to the food bank door, crying my eyes out,
Yeah,
apologizing profusely because I'm so sorry to use it. And one of the ladies from the church opened the door and she said, "Why are you crying?" And I said to her, "Because I'm so sorry. Like, there are other people that probably need this more than me, but I just need to get some food for my kids."
yeah,
And she said to me, "Just remember, this is only for now. It's not a life sentence. You'll get there in the end."
yeah.
And you know what? She was exactly right. And that's exactly what I tell the parents and the people that I work with, because it's not a life sentence. And I look at it as it's a time where you kind of hit rock bottom that makes you change your life for the better. And I think if you don't hit that journey, you never really fulfill your life properly to understand what you want and where you're headed.
So, you quite fulfilled now?
Absolutely. I have a family that adore me. I have 3 kids that are doing amazing things. I'm proud of each and one of them, and I have a tight-knit family because I've always supported my family. I've always been there to be their cheerleader, no matter what, through every loss, through every gain, and just kept them afloat as best as I could. That now has come back to I have 3 adult children who now have their own children that go, "Oh
Yeah,
my God, Mum, we understand now everything that you did for us, and we
yep,
appreciate you beyond anything." And that is the most important and heartfelt reward I've had
yeah,
my whole entire life. I've had a lot of rewards along the way, but that one, when you know
silver
that
tail.
you've made a change and that your kids appreciate you, that's bigger
Yeah.
than Ben-Hur.
So, anyone listening, is there anything that I have missed when it came to the gala or the organization?
No, the gala, you need to be at the gala. If there's one place you're gonna be for a great night out,
You get to come hang out
and
with
more
me if not.
importantly, to let your hair down. What
Yep.
did you say?
What's the
Sorry?
website?
My website? The
Yep,
website
the
is
website.
www. Keeley's Cause, Keeley's
Yep,
Cause on Facebook, Keeley's Cause on Instagram. Everything
yep,
comes directly to me. Every email, every message. So if you need any support or some answers,
yep,
just yell out, as opposed to what's next. There's lots coming for more support for our families and people out there that are neurodivergent or have intellectual disabilities. I think
yep,
while they talk about an inclusive world, it's a long way off.
yep,
A long way off. So if we can still, banter and be there to support, because we don't just supply the iPad, we support the family behind the
yep,
scenes as well. Every year we run a giving day, so we give brand new goods, brand new clothing to any disability family that can get where we are. Brand new Lego, we do that every year because a lot of families are lonely at Christmas. So we make sure that their Christmas is going to be a fabulous one. So we do a lot to remove that loneliness bracket
yep.
because it is a tough life. I mean, I had to do mine from I had the 2 young kids right up until they were Keely was 12, whatever, when she yeah, Lee was 12, 13 when Keely come along, and I just had the 2 kids by myself. So it was just me, single mum, doing it all.
Mm.
So, yeah. So
Alright.
it's been a journey.
Yeah,
And I would have to say to people that as tough as the road is, being a disability parent, it's the most rewarding one because when you overlook the meltdowns and the troubles that you've got and you have that one amount of love that that child gives to you is priceless. You just gotta work out a way to understand their world. I've been 100% lucky that my kids have taken me into their world and trusted me enough. And what a world it is, and what they see and what we see are completely two different things, but their worlds
100%.
are absolutely ritual. So, yeah. So just hang in there. It's a roller coaster ride, but it's one that sometimes you think you wanna throw your hands up in the air, but I wouldn't change mine for the world because my children have made me a better person by understanding their world and their journey. So I've learnt more than I ever anticipated.
So, thank you so much for
You're
this
so very
podcast.
welcome.
I cannot wait to be on the D floor on the 20th of
I
June
can't
at the
wait to see you.
Hyatt.
Hope you're bringing lots of friends with you,
But like it's
Sarah.
hot.
I hope you're booking lots of tables.
Can't wait. I'm so excited.
No, well, that's good. We are too, and it's getting closer. It's only 5 weeks away. For those that
All
don't
right.
have
Well,
their
I'll put all the
tickets,
links to the
yes,
tickets. Thank you so much, Shaz.
better be getting on the ticket line because last year we sold out and we did have a lot of people say, like even 2 days before, "Can we buy tickets? Can we buy tickets?" And we went, "No, we're sold out." And they went, "Oh, really?" So there's a chance that it will do exactly the same
Okay.
because it was such a great night and we've got a lot of the same people coming back, but we've also got so many new people that have heard what was a fun event last year that they missed out that they were signing up for this year, so they didn't miss out. So this will be our last gala for a couple of years because we don't want to do one every year. This is just
Yep.
kind of an encore performance from last year's success.
Yep.
And then we'll take a bit of a break. And if we do another gala, then we do. And if not, we'll find something else. But
That's the
yeah.
plan. All right. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. Great to talk to you, Sarah.
See you.